Guys and dolls, so it is Wednesday, I believe, and I'm going to be going out for a walk with the dogs soon, and doing a wee video on my walk as normal. It's a beautiful day. You can see blue skies. Don't know how long they'll be there for, but yeah. So we're going to make the most of it. But I just want to cover quickly something that's been going on online at the minute between Homeland and Britain First, Paul Golding, and so basically one of the leaders of Homeland is apparently, according to Paul Golding, has got a swastika on his chest, a tattoo, and has been calling them out online. I'm a wee bit disappointed, to be honest with you. This is what we're going to be seeing going forward, I struggle to get my head around it, why anybody finds that this is the time to be doing stuff like this, and I understand there will be a bit of to and fro, and Paul Golding just didn't wake up and decide to do this. I do believe there will be antagonistics on both sides, and people, boy, yeah, and people on both sides, being quite hateful, and I imagine it's probably just came to a head, and Paul's been angry and he's done this. Now, it doesn't serve my wee Lucky any good at all, The way I look at things, any time spent online should be spent doing something to help the children of this country, the future of this country, our children and our children's children, and so I'm just going to address it for people that are a wee bit don't know what to take about this and what way to go with this. I don't believe in my heart that anybody is racist. I don't believe in my heart that Homeland, these guys are actually racist. I don't think we've many racists left at all, to be honest with you, or far right. We have people who love their country, love their culture, and love their neighbours, Now, I'm quite sure when we say neighbours, we're talking about all religions and all colours, because that's who we are. We've always been like that. That's never changed. Maybe in my country it was a wee bit slower in the uptake, but in mainland Britain, it was quite common. Diversity was always around. So, racism, for want of a better word, did raise its ugly head, because it was like we see today, two cultures coming together. I don't know if it was Jamaicans, Africans, I'm not sure, but the initial coming together of two different cultures, and it's like anywhere. It's like two football teams, it's anywhere where two people are different. It's like tribal. It's like it's a tribal effect where it's just normal human behaviour. When you have two different groups of people that support different things, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's religion, whether it's a country, whether it's a football match, whether it's a darts game. You'll have a group over here to support in a boxing game. You have a group over here supports one boxer. You got a group over here supports another boxer, and there's probably country thrown in there. Maybe Ireland win against America. In most cases it goes off all right, but you do get that tribal sort of effect where there's a clash. You know what I'm trying to say. It's normal procedure in life. Okay, it's what we have to expect, and we deal with it. It normally is a younger ones, guys in their 20s, and then they grow out of it, and it's just like something that we've always dealt with, So as far as that is concerned, I don't believe it was an issue. But you've got to understand as well that some of us guys have went through a bit of a time in our lives, and I was tattooing my arms from here to here when I was 11 years old, 12 years old, with an Indian ink and a needle, left to my own devices, just to tattoo my arm in a children's home, and it's like you're just a child. You don't know any different, you know. And some people are quite immature, and it takes a wee while for them to mature. And it all depends what peer group you're around, who you're around, and stuff like that, you know. And unfortunately, we go through life and we make mistakes, and we hang about with people we shouldn't hang about with, and we date people we shouldn't date, and you know, all sorts of mistakes that we make. But we're able to move on from them. We're able to rectify it, and then move on and get on with our life. The thing about a tattoo is it's always there. It's not something you can actually move on from, and that's the cross. If that man has got that tattoo, that's a cross he's got to bear, you know. And I do believe we all change, we all grow up, and we all wise up, you know. And like I say, the problem with tattoos is they don't go away. And I just think, you know, that calling out a tattoo that is maybe years old, you know, is a wee bit below the belt. I really do think it's a wee bit below the belt, you know what I mean? At a time like this, you know, at a time whenever we're trying to find a political party, we've got reform pulling the wool over everybody's eyes, we've got the establishment taking over reform. It's all quite frightening, you know, what's going on in Great Britain right now, and also worried about what's coming, you know. Because we know how desperate Labour are getting. We know how desperate the establishment are getting. They've just jailed Marie Le Pen. And, you know, you can see all your normal left wing, your Owen Joneses and all the rest of them all doing their pieces and how bad Marie Le Pen is. But really, when you look around the world and you see other leaders and what they're saying, it's quite revealing, you know. And I don't think it's working out exactly the way the establishment planned, you know, to be honest with you. It's quite clear that she's been silenced, and it's quite clear that Marie Le Pen, the movement, will win the next election, and they've basically just made sure of that by doing this, because the French people now see. You understand? This is the problem with the left. They don't realise the repercussions of their actions. They think it's like they panic. This is what it's like. They panic. And they realise, oh no, we're going to lose this. What do we do? Jail them. You know, oh no, Tommy Robson's getting really big. Everybody's watching that video. What do? Jail them. So then when they jail these people, all they do is they make them into martyrs. Everybody talks about it. People that didn't know what was going on now know what's going on. Do you understand? You see what happened with Tommy? What they did putting Tommy in prison is they multiplied his reach. And I can't even tell you what the percentage is because it's out there. You know, they more than doubled it. They more than doubled the support for Tommy, you know. And I would, you know, the reason why I never thought they would have jailed him, like, you know, I never said anything online or said to you guys, but deep down I didn't think they would have jailed him. I didn't think they would have been so stupid, because surely they know what happens in Belfast and Northern Ireland, you know, when high martyrs are made, and, you know, what becomes of these people. They become icons, and people will gather around them. You can build organisations and political parties from people like this. So this is why I always keep saying there's a wee niggling bit in me that says that Keir Starmer's right wing. Honest to God, like, it keeps niggling away at me, and it keeps coming, and I'm like, no, you know. But it's maybe just pure stupidity. Maybe it's desperation. That's all I can. They're either right wing and they're playing a really good game, you know. You can play about that, and you can play about with that in your heads, guys. You know what I mean? But yeah, or they're just really, really, they're not aware of how the game works, you know. Because honestly, like, even anybody with a brain knows if you highlight anything, you know, it's like the old saying. Bad news is news, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know what it is, you know what I'm trying to say, but like, any news is news. It gets your name out there. This is why these like actors and famous people used to set up camera things and make something happen and make sure there was a camera there from the sun, you know what I mean? And then it would look bad, but you would think, oh no, and it would go all over the place and everybody would be talking about it and work and everything, but it was all set up. And people would never believe that. But why would you do that yourself? Because there's that much money in getting in the paper and people knowing about you. You know, once you trigger people's brains that know you, then you've captured people. You know, and it's just a common ploy used through life by famous people. And basically this is what's happening with Tommy Robinson, Marie Le Pen. So, you know, getting back to what the video was about, is I am disappointed with Paul. I think he was very angry, very hot-headed, and he's made a mistake. I do believe when the dust is settled, he'll look at that today and think, I shouldn't have done that. You know, there wasn't a time and a place to do that. But like I say, we don't know what's going on in the background. We don't know what's getting through and fro. I do believe that, I'm going to be totally honest, like, there's quite a lot of people quite guilty, because you're all making one mistake. You're letting your personal feelings get involved. You're bringing out what if you're wanting to run to be a politician, this is what I'm going to tell you guys. Any of you guys that want to get involved in politics, you cannot jump about talking about your personal feelings. You can't just dislike somebody because of a personal feeling or something that you think. You've got to keep all them things private. You know, you've got to bite the bullet sometime and deal with people that you don't like, you know, and somebody who you might think is a grifter or a shrill or whatever you may think, you know, you've got to bury them. This isn't the time for this carry on, guys. And surely you must all be grasping that. You must know what the optics of this looks like. And it's happening everywhere. It's on X. It's patriots calling out other patriots, and it's just hatred. And I keep on saying these. This, all you got to do is get rid of hate. It's that easy. Stop hating. It's possible. It is possible to go through life and not hate anybody. It really is. It's just how you look at things. It's all about how you conceive things. You know, and I'm not here to tell you how to live and all that. Quite a lot of you should know that. You shouldn't be having to listen or take advice from somebody like me. You know, this is standard stuff. When we're dealing with stuff like this in Northern Ireland, when our backs against the wall, guys that didn't like each other had to deal with each other, and personal feelings were put to the side. You know, for the good of the cause. You know, and you've got to get this in your head, guys. You're all meant to be doing this for my wee lucky. Every single patriot out there, every single person who's a politician, trying to be a politician, coming up, all these young new parties, all these young guys in all these new parties, and some of you guys that are veterans at this game should know better. You should be leading by example, not behaving like this. And that, yes, Paul Golding, you should know better. You should know better, you know. And it's not good to see. It really isn't good to see. But, you know, the man is bigger than this. This is also what I'm going to say. You know, all these men are bigger than this. We move on, you know. Like I keep on saying, it happened yesterday. So we got to move on. And it's got to be dropped and finished. You know what I mean? Nobody cares. Nobody cares about tattoos, you know. A mistake, a drunken night out. Who knows? Who knows, you know, what's happened? Falling asleep, his mate could have done it. Nobody knows. Nobody even thinks like that, you know. And but the bottom line is a tattoo. We all make mistakes. Jeez, oh, look at me. Look at that. Look at my life. You know, you don't know what people's been through for them to do extreme things like that. Probably something that he regrets. That's if it's even there, because we don't even know if it's there. You know. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You know, it really doesn't matter. You know, it's like, it's really, really not good to look at. You know, phoning a guy up, recording the call and putting it online. We're going down, we're starting to behave like the left. I'm no kidding you on, guys. The things that I'm seeing, the way people are behaving, it's not nice. And like, I'm keeping an eye on everything, and I am going, because I worry in case there's people that are doing it on purpose. Now, don't imagine for 1 minute Paul Golding is compromised, but there will be things going on, guys, that just aren't right, and you've got to pay attention to it. It's a really dangerous time for patriots, you know what I mean? And there will be active things going on to try and shut voices like me, like Paul, like all the guys that are working hard right now to bring out some sort of understanding of what's going on in Great Britain today. You know, trying to decipher the madness around the world, that what everybody's saying about Great Britain. You know what I mean? It's just one thing after another. Like, I've seen a video that's going about right now all over the place taking the piss right out of our army because they've shown an advert of an army patrol going out and everybody stopping to let a man pray. You know what I mean? And then they're comparing it with a Russian advert for the army. And, you know, that all I'm saying is things like that should be left out of the army. You know, all religions should be left out of the army. And you're not going to get many Christians going in the army because man shall not kill, you know. So that's... You can take that one to the bank. You know, 110%. You're not going to find many God-fearing men in the army. You know, any ex-squaddies out there can let me know if I'm wrong. You know, and I imagine there is ex-squaddies that are found God, and there is men who were like Roman Catholic, but I can't imagine many men actually really practicing it. You know what I mean? And then going out and taking lives. You know, so but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong in that one. But like I say, guys, there's a lot going on around the world right now. Britain is being ridiculed, really ridiculed. We're getting into a trade war with one of our best allies, one of the one country that's always stood by our side, the one country that owns most of our military. You know, they own near enough every part of our nuclear capability. You know, we rely on them so much. I'm going to bring you a video today. I'm going to bring you a video today anyway, and a couple of wee things in it what's been going through my mind, a couple of bits about Northern Ireland, and I'm going to bring a clip as well to show you the richest countries in the world. Okay, so then we can talk a wee bit more about the implications, what it means, and what's going on with America, and why is this happening today. You know, why are we in this situation with America? Remember, Trump, this is the second time Trump's been in power, and there was no problems the last time. You know, yeah, we had the Blue Hair Brigade with their Trump bimp. You know, he's not welcome and all that carry on. We understand that because they're left wing. You know, Trump is a threat to the left wing. You know what I mean? These people are wanting to destroy their communities, destroy their countries, no matter what country they are in. They are pushing for an ideology that will finish them before it'll finish us. You know, so it doesn't make any sense at all to nobody. They just hate their lives. They hate their parents, and they probably have no intentions of having any children, so they're not really invested. You know, you got to understand, most men and women look at this world and think, what's it going to be like when I'm not here? When I'm not here to look after my child, what's my child going to be like here? Hi, will she be okay? Will he be okay? You know, and you're not going to think like that if you don't have any kids, okay? Because I never thought like that until I had Lucky. Until Lucky was in Katie's belly, I had no intentions of fighting and putting myself online and put myself out there to get hate and all the rest of it, and jealousy and just people with problems having a problem. You know what I mean? Nuts, absolutely nuts. Having a problem with a guy that's been through care, lost his mum and 8, been abused, you know, in and out of jail, never really done anything bad, you know, robbing banks, you know what I mean, building societies, things like that. Never hurt anybody that was good apart from scaring people. And I understand, yes, I do always, I've done videos about it and I've made it clear how I feel about that, and I'm not proud of it. But when you're in the moment, as you're a young man growing up, you think, I honestly believed it was a victimless crime, and it was the whole reason and the only reason I robbed banks and banks only. And yeah, so there's a lot going on. And the point of that as well is, like, you know, who am I to tell anybody what to do or say? You know, really, like, I'm not here. This isn't a message to anybody. This is to my followers to try and understand what's going on. And if anybody's talking about it, this is how you need to let them talk. This is how you need to talk to anybody about it. Don't get caught up in this carry on. You know, whether you support Britain First or whether you support Homeland, do not allow yourself to be caught up in that nonsense. Okay, because it's just nonsense, you know. And this is it in a nutshell. There's a lot of pressure on a lot of people, and a lot of people are really, really worried about the future of their country. Okay, guys in England are stressing out right now. Nothing's good, nothing looks good, and the more they do the maths, the more truth that they get from the government as they filter out the figures that are truly in the country. Realisation is starting to dawn on people, and that will bring out the worst in people, because people are getting so frustrated they don't know what to do, and they all think they've got the answer, you know. And you know, we understand that, guys. We understand how much pressure you're under. We understand how long you've been doing this, and we understand that other voices are being lifted up while your voices are still being silenced. Yes, I get that. But as we move forward, people like us, the Patriots, do recognise these things. We recognise who's been there the longest, who's been doing the most work, who are the true Patriots. Only time proves that, guys. You got to understand that. Only time will prove who you truly are, you know. And you should be proud of yourselves. You really should. And I understand, because of everything that's going on right now, that you feel that nobody's listening. The Patriots of this country are listening to every single one of you. Never forget that, you know. So, wind the next in. Stop doing all this carry on. No more bickering between Patriots. It's all got to stop. If you find somebody that's doing this kind of thing, just cut them off, you know. Unfollow, unsubscribe, whatever. And just walk away from it. You don't need it. Stay with Patriots that are being positive. Stay with Patriots that are bringing other Patriots together, you know. There's guys out there that are doing a lot of good, and there's guys out there that aren't doing so much good for their whatever reason they've got. And I'm not getting into it right now. There will be a time and a place to get into all this kind of things. When things get really bad down in England, people need to look at who's done what has people actually done to help their country and up to now, you know. And that's the kind of thing that will be addressed, you know. I have no hope, to be honest with you, like, you know, and I see reform getting in, you know, and a lot of people enabling it, and neither in, you know. It's like, you aren't going to get another party coming up. The establishment aren't going to allow it, you know. Anytime any party will start any momentum, something's going to happen, whether it be, you know, Rupert Lowe, whether it be Nick, you know, whether it's Homeland start coming up, or Britain First. Whoever starts coming up and getting traction is going to be attacked, you know. And as always, the sheep and the gullibleness of the British are going to believe everything that they're hearing and seeing. And it's, you know, and there's going to be lots of things and stuff that I can't even explain to you. That's just, you know, because I know the tactics, how they work. I truly believe that I think the Bidens tuned. They were the ones, the Americans, all the far left in America, all the students, they were the ones, the AI, the people that were really clever at computers, were able to do algorithms that were really detrimental, you know, to the opposition. And, you know, it's like, it's too hard for me to explain, but I'm quite sure one day somebody will explain it in a way because I know in my head what I'm trying to say, but there's no way of getting it out because I don't have the intelligence for that kind of thing. But all I do know is we are in for a wee bit of a time, and it's a time for people to come together and be strong. And the only way we're going to get through this is by everybody supporting each other and putting your personal differences away. And, you know, if you can't do that for yourselves, do it for my wee Lucky. Yeah, please, you know. That's all I can say about that, guys. You know what I mean? Just wanted to get it out there because I know quite a lot of people are messaging me, asking me what I think. You know what I mean? Because it comes across as quite damning, but really it's not really quite damning. You know, be honest with you, 48 hours we'll have forgot about all this. So, but I just want to put it right in your heads. I don't want anybody who's following Homeland thinking they're following some sort of Nazi regime or some sort of mad far right. They're far from it. You know, please believe me, they are far from it. You know, there's no evidence at all of anything like that. You know what I mean? The only evidence I see from most of the political parties right now, including Britain First, is political parties that just want the best for my wee Lucky. You know, that's it. You know, there's no racism. You know, whether I can't speak for every single individual, but I can't see any political party behaving like that. We have black men in this country that are British and proud of it, and we all know that. You know, they grew up with them. You know, so it doesn't make any sense. You know, like you say, there is people out there that do have white only organisations, and as you know, I don't agree with it, and I've told them I don't agree with it, and hopefully one day I'd like to think that they'll change that policy. You know what I mean? So who knows what's ahead, you know what I mean? But I understand everybody's ideology. I totally get it, you know. But it's time to wind the next in, guys, and do what's right for Great Britain. Do what's right for your country before you lose it completely. Okay. I'm Freedom Dad. God bless every single one of you.